Ebullient greetings. I'm your host, Jacquie Bird of Jacquie Bird Spiritual Wellness, your guide to stress and anxiety relief, mindfulness, awareness, self-care, self-love, and personal growth. Welcome and thank you for joining me as we roll with peace in mind. Every time I have a guest on, I'm always talking about how geeked up I am. And I am, it's true. But I'm really excited, especially the way that you and I have connected. I think It's beautiful. So I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself, tell us where you're from and what you do. And folks, he does a lot of stuff.
I don't know how this happened, Jackie. I do a lot of stuff.
Yes, it's awesome.
All right, so I'm Larry Rogowsky. I am a native New Yorker. I currently reside in the Boogie Down Bronx.
All right.
And though I haven't been there in about 3.5 months, but I do reside there, and I'll be heading back shortly. And let's see, you want my whole background?
Well, I'm going to ask you in pieces, but I want you to just give us the cliff notes on what you do.
Okay, great. So I'm the owner of Urban Body Fix, which is a wellness consulting firm that specializes in learning about whole foods and how to take great care of yourself in a holistic way. We deal in weight management programs and supplementation and living your best life.
Fantastic. Okay, so guys, that's the short, but now tell us all the other stuff, please.
Oh boy, where do you want me to start, Jackie?
You know what? Start in the order of, just in terms of what you do, start in the order of what came first.
Okay, so what came first? Let's see. So, I was an actor. That came first. Went to college upstate New York. Graduated, moved right into New York City. Pursued acting for about 7 or so years with a decent amount of success. It was really fun. In between acting jobs, I was a Broadway dresser, which I think we have a lot of folks in common, Jackie.
We do.
Those worlds, which I'm sure we'll get to. Let's see, when I was around 27, I'm 47 now. Whoa. Okay, 20 years ago. Let me tell you, 20 years ago, I was really looking at my life and looking at what my future holds. And a funny thing happened. I was in the theater and I literally had my hands on one of the actors, on their shoulders, just placed my hands on there. Yeah. And he looks up at me and he goes, "Do you ever think about being a massage therapist? Your hands feel amazing." And I was like, actually, I kind of did think about it, but I didn't really, but immediately I was like, I went to the Swedish Institute and I got, went right to massage therapy school. And that really changed the course of my life because originally my idea was, great, yes, I'll be a massage therapist. That'll be my survival gig. Maybe instead of being a dresser where I could still be an actor and have survival. I fell in love with anatomy and physiology and just everything about the body. And I also fell in love with the idea of having my own business.
Yes.
Not as an actor, but as a healthcare provider. So I worked in a couple of spas, and then I cultivated my own practice in Hell's Kitchen, right in Midtown Manhattan. And of course, I serviced a lot of the Broadway community. That became my clientele. And over the years, I also parlayed health coaching into that. I went to the Institute for Integrative Nutrition. And so in addition to being a massage therapist, now I'm an integrative nutrition coach. So that all started to happen, and I fell in love with all of it. And then I discovered other ways to, bring revenue into my practice because I was getting a little bit tired, as any other healthcare provider can attest to, I'm sure, especially in the manual fields of massage therapy, physical therapy, chiropractic, acupuncture, all those. So I learned a lot more about nutrition, and I integrated high quality science-based supplementation, not just to help my clients, but also to bring in another stream of revenue. And that also shifted everything too. I started to learn about the idea of leveraging myself and my time, right? As an actor, we all know about how do you create a residual stream of income.
Yes, we do.
Yes. So that was my, but I didn't have a commercial that I booked. I didn't have a sitcom I was on for 8 years. I didn't cut a record.
Yes, that's right. Money while you sleep.
But I knew what that meant. So I did that in the world of health and nutrition. And what that brings me to is I started implementing wellness programs into health professional offices, specifically doctors' offices, all different types. And again, that took on a life of its own. And then financially, it was sustaining me. It was really, really great. And then I started thinking about, well, what's next for me? I wanted to get back to the theater. So, and I always wanted to be a Broadway producer, even though I really didn't know what that meant.
Wow.
So
that's crazy.
That's
crazy inspiring, because you know, one of the things as an actor, performer, singer, dancer, whatever, you know, you're so busy trying to get that next gig. And I think it's so incredible that you, as an actor, got to a point in your life and you started asking questions. You know, we all ask questions at different points in time about, okay, where am I? Where do I want to be? How do I want to get there? One of the points of, and the purposes of having my guests on is to show people that you can do what's in your heart, whatever you decide you want to do. You just have to make the decision. So talk a little bit about he's being modest, y'all, about this Broadway producer thing.
You know, life-defining decisions along the way. I also think of it, you know, it's like life choices.
Yes.
And it really is. You get to choose your life. We're very lucky, you know, even in this moment where the world seems like it's turned upside down, and it is in many ways, that we have things like the internet, and we have ways of communicating that we can really have whatever kind of business we want. I think of life as...
Please say that again. We can really have whatever business we want.
We can have whatever business we want.
Yes.
Anything is possible. It's all about choices. Life is this. I look at it this way. B, C, D, like, you know, the alphabet, A, B, C, D.
Yeah.
B, C, D. B, you're born. D is death.
Yeah.
What's in the middle is C. That's choice.
That's powerful.
Yeah, well, that's all. I mean, if you think about your life, like, look back on everything that's happening in your life, and it was all a choice of something else. Something else you made a choice on led you to that moment.
Whether it was conscious or unconscious.
Yeah, and we can choose to take responsibility for it or not. I always invite people to just take responsibility for it. And you know what I mean? And even if some things don't seem so good, they might not, at the moment, they might be really horrible and awful. But in the long term, there's probably a reason why it all happened.
Yes. And I think this thing, I'm going to come back to the producer question, but this thing, like a lot of people feel, I would say most people feel that they don't have a choice. You know how you'll hear people talk, and it's so part of our lexicon, that phrase, I didn't have a choice. He made me do that, or I didn't have a choice. You know, that is such a go-to reason, because you felt you didn't have a choice.
I think that's how most people live, quite frankly. I mean, that's what I come across. But you know, I know the people that I choose to spend my time around. You know, my family, it's a little tough. You know, family is, because, you know, you got to have Thanksgiving dinner with them. But when you choose your family, the people that you really choose to be with, you know, I always say, like, choose people who lift you up and light you up and are also in this headspace.
Absolutely.
It's a while to cultivate that, you know, to find that. But I think if you're being that, you're going to attract those kind of people into your life.
So very briefly, because I definitely want to jump into Urban Body Fix, talk about how you ended up becoming a producer and what a producer does on Broadway. In theater.
Okay, so it's funny. My story is a little funny. So my husband, who you actually may know, Jackie, because you guys were on Broadway around the same time as performers.
Yeah.
He co-created a show called Disaster with Seth Rudetsky. You may know him. He's from, you know, Sirius XM radio host, and he's like a Broadway guy, crazy talented guy. Anyway, they were good friends for years. They knew each other from like when they did Forever Plaid, the original back in the day. Anyway, they co-created the show called Disaster, and along with Jack Plotnick. And Disaster was off Broadway. And now I have a dear friend who's also my partner in all business. Her name is Sue. And we're producing partners. We do a lot together. Anyway, she and I decided, well, wouldn't it make sense to support Drew in his dreams, and like just put, you know, it wasn't much, put a little bit of money into the off-Broadway production, which we did. And then the show got picked up by a major lead producer and was moving to Broadway, and we were asked to be part of the producing team. And we were like, okay. Even though we didn't really know what that meant. But we quickly learned, and we were scrappy. We were willing to do, and you know, Sue and I were there opening night, like wrapping candy for all the cast and crew, like in these little baggies. Like we just did whatever had to be done. And that led to the next project, to the next project, to the next, you know, until, you know, 3 years ago, I guess it was, we won a Tony Award for the revival of Angels in America.
Oh my goodness.
Because that's a show that, thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That is such an extraordinarily powerful piece of art.
Yeah. Tell me about it. Well, I saw the original one back. I was a junior in college, and I remember seeing it, and I couldn't get out of my seat. It was just riveting. It was so timely, and it's still a timely piece of theater, even more so. And this production was riveting in a different way than the original. Both just masterpieces, you know.
Yes.
I think so. I was so proud to be part of that, and proud that that's what won me my first Tony Award.
I love that.
Notice I said my first Tony Award because I plan on winning some more.
Oh, okay. So, because I was like, wait a minute, did I miss any? But see, but that's okay. He just did, y'all, what you must do. You set intention. You set an intention. And when you set the intention, then you have to let it go. You can't go, oh, it's got to come this way, and it's got to come that way. And you're a classic example of that, of how you just flowed with the stream.
Yeah.
In terms of how you even became a producer. I mean, love it.
I mean, if you get to know me, I'm like an easy guy, you know. I like to have a great time. Mm-hmm. I don't take anything too seriously. I think life is already hard enough. Like, let's not make it harder, right?
Yes.
And I think because of that, things have not come easily to me. Don't get me wrong. I have worked hard. Right. I think a lot of people will say that. It's like, you know, I don't know if you've ever seen the image of the iceberg. Like, all people really see is the tip of the iceberg. You don't see all the persistence and the hard work, the ethics, everything underneath the surface. Mm-hmm. So you have to have all that. And then, you know, there's no overnight success, I guess.
No, but it starts with a thought. It starts with a thought. It starts with an intention, whether you're making it consciously or unconsciously. So now, coming to Urban Body Fix. Talk about it.
Yeah, so Urban Body Fix, actually the name came from one of my clients. I remember when I first started my massage practice, and I was starting my private practice I'm talking about, I had a contest for my clients because I didn't have a name yet. It was just Larry Rogowsky, massage therapist. Okay. I put to all of them, I said, whoever comes up with the best name, you're gonna get, you know, a bonus massage on me if you choose the name that I go with. And one of my clients came up with that. He was actually a fellow dresser with me on the show. And so that name stuck. So, you know, this is, when I started my practice, it was long before, I had a website, but there was no social media, nothing like that. So, you know, I really built it totally, you know, word of mouth, but without social media in the community. And I very recently, now I took a sort of a sidestep from Urban Body Fix, so it kept going. I mean, because it really was like a well-oiled machine. I was able to really retire from my massage practice because what I've built in the world of the consulting and working with doctors and having a team and products and all that, I didn't retire at Urban Body Fix. I sidestepped a bit and really was focusing in the world of theater and producing. But now that we're on this intermission, you know, Broadway's on an intermission. We will be back, but it's gonna be a while. And I thought, well, what a great time to refocus my energy on what I love, where I can really be of service and help people, because this is, you know, you recall, and it's still happening now, like everybody was freaking out, like, okay, how can I be my healthiest, best self? Right now, you know, oh boy, I put on the quarantine 15. How am I gonna how can I be a great life while we're under this situation? So I feel like Urban Body Fix was able to fill that need. And I actually got out of my comfort zone, and I brought in some interns to help me with my social media, because social media has never been my strong suit. Like, I don't care enough about it, I guess you could say. Like, I'm old.
No, listen, I hear that. And you are smart to just give it to people that's what they do.
It's a bit of trust, but I'm a big believer in team, because I don't think you can do it all. It depending on how big you want to grow it, or what you want your days to look like, your nights, all that.
Right.
So for me, it was very important. I also have an 8-year-old son who I love to raise with my husband, and that takes a lot of time too.
Yes.
You know, trying to do it right.
Yes,
as right as you can.
And be present for your son. Yes.
Yeah, being present. So team is very important to me. I'm a social person, so I'm not solitary. I need to be with other folks. So I have this great social media team now that's really made my social media presence looking pretty sexy now.
Well, honey, that's how you and I met. So let's talk a little bit about how we met. I have to sidestep a little bit. I think it's so cool to the way that you and I met, and that we're having this conversation right now. So let me hear your side of it first.
Okay, I love this. So I told you I have some some folks helping with my social, and I also decided, well, I needed to have because I love making connections. I love making partnerships. Again, team, it's all about team. Because I feel like we're in the same world, but we're doing different things, you know, and I think we can complement each other. So I have an outreach team that's literally been doing cold outreach, you know, which is tricky because, you know, you're reaching out to people you don't have any relationship with yet. So it can seem a little like, what do they want? Which you probably thought, of course. I would like, what do they want?
Yeah.
What are they selling me?
Yeah.
So that's common, but it still made the connection. And I love how we got connected because you're right. I think you probably had those thoughts. And
I did.
Well, what I tell my team is like, the fastest you can get me on the phone with any of these people is going to be the best. Because I know once we make the voice-to-voice connection, that's what changes things. Because all of a sudden it becomes warm and it becomes personal. And it's not about trying to sell something or try to get one. It's not, you know, it's really about what my real intention is with this is to provide value for not just for Urban Body Fix, my people, but also for anybody that I partner with. Because I think, look, it all comes back to you eventually, you know?
It really does. And again, it's intention. That's your intention, you know? Now, my side of it, you told some of my side already. You know, I get these anonymous emails, you know, and people are selling stuff. And what annoys me is, you know, I'm old school. So if you're going to write me, don't go, hey there. Say, hi, Jackie, or hey there, Jackie, but use my name, you know, because then I know you're talking to me and you're not talking to 40 other people. So I get this very polite email. And, you know, I appreciated that it was polite, but I also had that, And I was that way until we spoke on the phone and found out that we had this common thing of the theater. I mean, how crazy. That was like, you know, mind blown.
Yeah.
And that part of me that knows better said, Miss Thing, no, you follow this through, have this conversation. You know, one of the things that I had been asking of the universe was, where's my tribe? I need to find my tribe.
Where are about? Yeah.
You know, and so that was the voice that said, Miss Thing, you've been asking to find your tribe. So just listen. Just don't put up the wall and listen. And here we are.
Well, it's funny, the way, especially now, I think now more than ever, most people are home. Most people have, even though we're busy, we'll keep ourselves, but we have an abundance of time right now, really. So I think, why not have a 10 to 15 minute phone conversation? Maybe we don't hit it off. Okay, so what do I lose? 10 to 15 minutes. Okay, but what can I gain if there's something comes out of it?
Yes.
Huge.
Yes.
Huge. A whole window into a network of people and practitioners that maybe I didn't know before, or information that I didn't know, or people that we can help and reach out. I don't know. I just think it's worth it.
It made me kind of go, okay, you've been asking for this thing. And if you keep having the attitude of looking at people with cross eyes, you're not going to get the thing that you're asking for, you know? So it was just another gentle reminder in those couple of days of, okay, really look at what you're doing and look at what you're asking. And that's the thing that I say to everyone, is that you have to look at what you're asking for and what you're doing and what you're thinking, because a lot of times those three are not on the same page.
That's right. Good point.
You know, and then you wonder, why is it taking so long? Well,
right.
Maybe if you look at how you're thinking about this thing, or what you're doing about this thing, you know, because a lot of times we ask, but we don't necessarily believe we'll have it.
Right.
You know, and I love that you have stressed throughout this about living your best life. It's beyond, you know, having the creature comforts, you know, because you can have stuff and be emotionally, spiritually bankrupt.
Well, I think that's been made clear to us more than anything in this time. Like, what do we really need?
I think that this time period that we're in, a lot of people are, and I'm happy to know that a lot of people are doing a lot of inner questioning. And if you're not doing it, this is a good time to start. This inner work of a lot of times we don't do the inner work because we're so busy. And I take my hat off to the parents that are at home who are working and homeschooling, basically, their children, your children. I take my hat off to you. But also, it is important to do the inner work of taking notice of what you're feeling, what you're thinking, and where you want to, how you want to shift that if it's not to your liking. So I would like to ask you, because we have touched upon this time that we're in, what advice do you have to people who are really struggling now, struggling financially, struggling emotionally, and dealing with a lot of fear?
Yeah. Ooh, this has been an extraordinary time, obviously. And I feel, especially, I'm in the Broadway community, so I really feel it from that world. Incredibly, there are no jobs to be had, and it's not so easy to just get a job doing something else. A lot of people have said that who are on the outside of it. You don't quite understand. It's not being snobby about it. It's not being above a job, but there aren't jobs available.
Right.
That's a big problem. So I think it's time to get creative if you already haven't. I think it's time to, again, surround yourself with positive folks. It's important to know what's happening in the world, but you got to cut off that news, like that news cycle, I guess is what, you gotta, and this is a tough one. We were talking about social media already, so you have to limit your social media time, because that will wreak havoc on your psyche and it will manifest itself physically. I really have seen that in people, and I believe it. So we have to try to limit that as much as possible and stay in the positive. I don't have any political conversations on social media. That's a rule of mine that I really live by, because they never go anywhere good. Ever.
It's funny. They never go anywhere good. My partner is very much, he's toned that down a lot though, because he was trying to shine light to people. And I kept going, why are you talking to the same people about the same thing with the same conversation? Right. But what's been interesting is that I have been more vocal in terms of the types of things that I'm posting, in terms of trying to get people to realize that you also have to spend your dollars wisely and consciously, because that is how you vote also. It's not just waiting for November to vote. You vote with your dollars. Yes. Because if you do any little bit of research, you will see where some of your money goes if you're buying certain things. So I've been much more vocal about that. And I think because I have basically said, if you don't agree with this, keep scrolling. And I even have a hashtag, keep scrolling.
Well, it's funny. I've had to, here's been my experience, and everybody's going to deal with it how they deal with it. This is what I do. So I have Facebook is really the platform I'm talking about. I've had a lot of friends, quote unquote friends on there.
Quote unquote.
And it's not that I want to see different opinions, because I don't mean to say like, I only want to see people who agree in the places that I agree with. But I've had to I'm not necessarily unfriend people, but I've blocked a lot of people because I just don't want the negativity in my feed. I don't want to see it every day. You know what I mean? Exactly. So I've had to block it. And I'm not saying I buried my head in the sand about what's going on in the world, because you definitely want to keep up with what's happening in the world. But as far as I go, like, certainly my business pages, my branding as Urban Body Fix, and as my producing hat, which is my company's Infine Company, that's our name. And Broadway Custom is another arm of that, where we do youth programming. I'll talk about that in a second, actually, if you want to hear about it. But we keep it positive. We keep it, you know what I mean? And definitely addressing, look, we know there's been, as far as inclusiveness and addressing all that, and that's a huge part of what I look at as, not as just a human being, but certainly as a human being, but as a business owner. How can we be more inclusive? How can we give provide opportunity for people that may not have had opportunity before, and level the playing field more? And that's something we're discussing a lot in the Broadway community now, as you know.
Yes.
I'm sure, Jackie,
yes,
you're well aware of that.
Yeah.
So that's happening, and it's important to be in that positive space, with making a difference.
Yes.
You can't go, I'm sure you've had this experience. I know a lot of people I know have had this experience. You argue with someone who's on the other side of the political spectrum of you, you'll get, and it'll go and go and go and go and go and go until it just blows up, and nobody gets anywhere.
So right? I definitely so agree about keeping it positive. You know, if you, you know, in my case, I choose things that I hope will provoke thought, that will, you know, get somebody to go away and think about it. That, you know, that they see that they have power. I had posted today something about the change that the Redskins, the football team. Yeah. I had posted about that, and I made a commentary, you know, and the commentary was steered toward, you have power with your dollars. You know, that thing of, you know, consciously wielding your spending power. Because like I said earlier, a lot of people feel they have no choice, and a lot of people feel helpless, especially during this time. And you have more power than you know. Right. You know, and during this time is a great time to begin to explore how you can use your power in a positive manner, because ultimately it serves the whole. When you are stepping out in a positive manner, you are sending that energy out and people are receiving it, whether you see it in the air or not. It's electricity, it's current. When you are embarking upon just, you know, what can you do today that adds more light, more positivity to you today? What can you do? Larry, do you have any suggestions for the listeners right now? Like one thing can they do in the moment that's going to shift and make it more positive for themselves?
One thing I would do, and it was as we were talking about social media, is instead of getting into any sort of discussion on a platform, is maybe you could say to them, can we get on the phone and talk about it? Because then it becomes a conversation, and it's less of a yes. Anytime you can either get on the phone, or better yet, get in person, which I know is tough, but at least get on the phone, get on a Zoom and talk it. Yes. You know, because I always want to understand the other side of things. Yes. You know, and I think being a really good listener, and that's something you always have to work at, something I work at all the time. You know what I mean? Like just being a better listener and hearing people, you know, like really like listening deeply. I think that that's something you could put into place right now. You know, really shut your mouth a little bit and listen.
Absolutely.
It's amazing what you learn when you just shut up.
It's amazing what you learn if you just shut up. That is absolutely, I can't agree more.
Put that on a t-shirt.
Honey, that's right. Put on a cap. That's right. Urban Body Fix on the back. You got your next.
Shut up.
You got your. That's right. You got your. You know, there used to be. It's probably still out. A shirt that we wore back in the day and a hat. Shut up and dance.
Oh yeah.
You know, so it's like shut up and listen. Urban Body Fix on the back. So please talk about the youth programming before I let you go.
Yeah. So we have an arm of our producing company called Broadway Custom. You can look at broadwaycustom.com. And we do VIP experiences for Broadway, but obviously right now, because we're on intermission, there's nothing that can happen live. So we typically do a youth program where we bring in kids from all over the world, really, to come into New York for a 5-day intensive, singing, acting, dancing, and they get to see a couple of Broadway shows. They go backstage. It's very customized because we interview them beforehand, so we actually customize it to what they love, and we bring in Broadway stars from shows that they've said that they love, so we like to surprise them and do that kind of stuff. We thought, we can't do that, we can't possibly do this online, there's no way. But then we thought, you know what, we actually can. Let's try it. So which the nice thing is we're able to slash costs in half, because everything is virtual, you know, we're not paying for space and all that sort of thing. So we're able to do it now and offer this program online. It's August 3rd through the 7th. Okay. And this is the first time we've done it virtually, and I think it's going to be great.
I love it.
The kids all get like a care package with, they're going to open a different item each day. So it's a surprise, and it's going to be the theme of our day, you know, depending on what show we're sort of celebrating that day. And it's just really exciting for them. It's the program I would have wanted as a kid, as a theater kid. When I was that age. It's ages 10 to 18. And it's super awesome.
Was the theater, how were you exposed to the theater?
So when I was I was always theatrical, I guess you could say. Like I was a singer in a rock band in junior high.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. The name of our band, it was a heavy metal band. I used to have really long hair, by the way.
I will see picture.
If you look on my social, you'll probably, if you dig a little bit, you'll find the band was called Devious. That was the name of our band. So maybe that's how it started. But then I got into high school and I was in the school plays and the musicals, you know. I wasn't much of I'm athletic, but I wasn't much of a sports kid. Like I just didn't really, it wasn't my thing, you know. Yeah. So anyway, so I was in theater in high school. And then when it came time to go to college, I knew I wanted to go away to college. I was not a great student in high school. So I was a little limited in that sense. But I love theater, so I thought, well, I'll be a theater major. Because I just didn't know what else I wanted to do. What else I could. So I actually went to SUNY at New Paltz, which is just upstate New York.
Yeah.
This is embarrassing. I didn't even get accepted on my grades. I had to go and audition, and then I got accepted. So I guess that's good. I actually got accepted for my talent. But then, you know, college for me was transformative. Yeah, and I just, you know, was a theater kid. So then that was going to be my career path. And I left college. I did a lot of great roles in college. Little did I know, those would probably be some of the best roles I'd ever get to play. But really went on, and I did some national tours, and I did some fun stuff. You know, but I really started looking at it. Like I said, I was getting to my late 20s. I was like, is this all there is? Is this what it's going to be for me? That wasn't it for me. Yeah. And now I can look back and see, oh, wow, this makes sense why I'm a producer. I get it. You know, like the theater is a love of mine, but not necessarily to do 8 shows a week, be on stage. The thing I want that to be for the people who want it so bad. They have to do that. Yeah. I got to a point where it's like, I don't really want it as bad as some of my peers do, and they're really talented also, so let them have that. It's hard enough anyway.
Yes. Oh, that's beautiful. But you know, it sounds to me like you always had, or I won't say always, but you got to a point, and I would say fairly early in life, where you began to ask questions, you know, and you began to ask questions of yourself, and you were listening for the answers. You were listening. It starts with the question, am I happy? Am I happy doing what I'm doing? Is this all there is? I remember asking that same question when I was 20.
I wanted to be like you. I mean, you were on Broadway. I remember one of the shows you were in.
Yeah.
I remember when that show was on Broadway. What year was that? It was 90?
Oh, that was 97.
Oh, right, 97.
Yeah.
That was the time when I was an actor. Like, that's when I was pursuing it, you know? And that was my dream, to be in a Broadway show.
Yeah.
But then, you know, the reality of that sets in also. Okay, is that really what I want? You know, look, it's the pinnacle of an actor's career. To be on Broadway, it's pretty phenomenal.
When I look back on that, what a blessing! You know, what an honor! What an achievement! What a ride, all that, you know, that I had the opportunity, not once, not twice, but 3 times, you know. So it was one show I was in that opened and closed, and then it opened again. And at that time, it was the first show to do that.
Okay.
Yes, it was okay. It was the first show to open and close and reopen in the history at that time.
Wow.
Yeah, but I think that you know, what I was saying to you in terms of you asking these questions of yourself at different points in time led you to where you are right now. And even though, you know, because the thing is, you know, we're talking about this, y'all, but like, I know for me, getting here was really painful.
I mean, I think about all the art that's being created right now in this painful time. Yes. There's going to be so much beauty that comes out of this. But man, you got to go through it.
Yeah, I truly feel that this time period is a valuable time. There are many lessons here for us human beings. This is a global lesson we are being taught right now. You know, like the overview of lesson, and then underneath that, multiple lessons, and how whatever we wish to look at. What is next for you? What are you cooking up?
All right, so a few things are sort of underway right now, and I guess I could talk about that first.
Oh, okay.
Why not, right?
Yeah,
so let's take a look at producing and Broadway side. So right now, we currently have, on intermission, Moulin Rouge, Jagged Little Pill, and Company, all on Broadway. And we will be back. All those shows are coming back when there is a Broadway again. So there's that. And then of course, tour, Moulin Rouge tour and the Australian production and the UK production. Like that's all underway, which is really exciting. And Jagged Little Pill national tour as well. We're also on the producing team of a new musical of The Outsiders, based on the S.C. Hinton book. It was also a film in the early 80s, which we're really excited about. It was supposed to be literally playing right now in Chicago at the Goodman Theater, but everything is now a year later. So this time next year, we will be at the Goodman Theater.
Yes, all right.
And then most likely coming into Broadway after that.
Nice.
So that's what's happening on that front. And also, so growing Broadway custom in our youth program. We'll continue doing it virtually until we could do it live again. And maybe we'll have both options. So we have a virtual and a live. I think that's one of the things that's also teaching us right now is like, wow, there's a lot of stuff we really can do successfully and well virtually.
Yes.
So let's not scrap that once we can go live again. Yes. Let's keep it and have a hybrid, which I think is cool. Let's see, what else are we cooking up? Oh, I'm writing a book, an urban body fix book. So it's a book all about the pillars of wellness, how I, like through my vision and how I see it.
Yes.
So that's happening right now. So that should be, it's most likely going to be an ebook. I don't know if it'll be a hardcover, but maybe. I don't know yet. So that's happening. And the rest is, I don't know, raising my child, living my best life. Growing, building more relationships and, meeting great people like you and interviews. And I love this part of it. This is fun for me,
Yeah, this is fun for me too. It's very inspiring. And as you talked earlier about surrounding yourself with positive people, it's food, it's fuel, it's as necessary as the air we breathe to have positive people around us. It contributes to the whole. And I think that's so beautiful. And I'm so grateful to you, first of all, for reaching out. And I told Suyeon that she needs to always trust her instincts, Going back to our sitting here right now, talking to each other, I had been working for over a year on my website, and I had hired an SEO company, but the results that I had hoped to see, I wasn't seeing. Again, a reminder, universe to me, of looking at something in one way, looking at numbers, looking at traffic, and not seeing the results that I wanted to. But then a couple of things happened within the last 2 weeks that was all about the last year and a half of me and this woman working together on my site. And that realizing that the riches that you seek are not necessarily as loud as you think they're going to be.
Yes, that is so true. And sometimes things come to fruition a year, 2 years later. And you hope that, they say, you plant a tree and you may never see that tree, but the next generation will see that tree. I mean, we don't want everything to take that long.
I know.
I mean, hurry up. But yeah, I want a little shade too, please.
Yeah.
But things take time. Anything worthwhile is going to be challenging, and it will take time.
Absolutely.
If it's too easy, then it's probably not gonna give you the rewards that you're looking for.
That's funny because you'll be going, okay, what's next? That came, okay, what's next?
Right.
I mean, as long as you're alive, there's always that question of what's next. I think even if you are, engaged in what you love, the energy to create is ongoing. It's all creating. And I said all of that to say that the way that I met you, and I emailed her and let her know that this happened, is all due to the work that she and I have done on my site. And this paid dividends in terms of the connection, in terms of the interaction. And I'm very grateful to you for, sending your interns out in search.
Let me tell you something. It's a bit of an experiment right now too. And I'm proud of them because they're young. They're all young. And I feel like this is a great experience for them because they're getting out of their comfort zone. They're entering into a world that they really haven't been in before. And we're just kind of seeing what happens with it, So far, so good. We'll see how it goes as we move forward. But when I speak to my interns, it's always about, okay, what do you want to gain here? What's going to help you move forward in life and career? And what do you want to get out of this internship so that it's really valuable for you?
I thank you for your time, man. This has been just an incredible interaction and exchange. And I'm very grateful to you for your time and for talking to me. You know, guys, we just met last week.
It's like we've been friends for years. I'm grateful to you, really, for being, you know, first of all, I love that you turned and it was like, whoa, okay. Like that to me is like magic, you know what I mean? And I think it's a lesson maybe for everybody that's listening to, like, don't be so quick to judge, or even if you are judging, like open up a little bit.
Yes.
Hey, look, it could have gone the other way too. And if it did, then you would have known. You'd be like, okay, that's not interviewing that guy. It's not going to be for me. But what would that have taken, you know?
But I think that what was beautiful in the conversation was you were like, okay, well then let's try this. And that inspired, well, let's do this.
Right. Oh wait, so we should tell, you know, you have written a great blog that's gonna get posted on my pages, and I'm excited about that. I think it'll go up this week. So we'll get, you know, all the urban body fix eyeballs on that sucker.
Thank you so much for that.
You're so welcome.
Thank you.
Happy to do it.
And I know that you have to go. So I am going to say thank you and continued success and inspiration and motivation and all those good things, and keep living your best life.
Thank you. All that back at you. You are fabulous, really.
Thank you.
I appreciate this. This has been awesome.
I get so geeked up when I hear an inspiring story. If you are one of the many, 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 many people out there who's working a job you hate or following a career that no longer burns for you, begin to see what it is that you actually want to do. Write it down wherever you want to write it down. Write it on paper, write it on your phone, your computer, your tablet. Whatever works, write it down. Begin to see yourself having it, achieving it, creating it. Willpower, trust, faith. Don't tell yourself you can't. Don't allow anyone else to tell you you can't. Thank you for listening. If you want to find out more information about my guest, just look at the show notes. All of the links are there. And remember to roll with peace in mind.